All right, it's 7 o'clock. The bells are ringing. And we're here. And Polly was drumming. You want to give one beat for the recording? Okay.
Everybody looked really bored.
Yeah.
Everybody joined in, but like, no.
We thought we might have a soundtrack, but we don't.
Oh, well, maybe.
Yeah.
It's hard now.
Now there's someone else to join.
Sorry, I forgot how hard it is to drive.
Oh, no.
And look, she's like the mix of the color and the blackness.
Right.
Right. Oh, and Jane's gonna mix it up by putting color over there.
Yes.
We forgive you.
All right, well, thanks everybody for taking some time to be here tonight, and we've got a good group in the room. Oh, and I do have ice cream in the other room, so we'll get started.
Haha, y'all don't get the ice cream.
Make the right call.
Send me a bowl. Guys, send me a bowl virtually.
Yeah, well, I'll take a moment, and run get some as we get started. Well, let's go around the room and just hear who's here, and just today, give us a word describing how you're feeling today. I know it's kind of basic, but if you think about that for a second, we'll start with the folks in the room. Yeah, and well, last in, first go. That's what. It used to be LIFO, was it? First in,
Yeah.
LIFO, and then, yeah, okay, so.
I'm Jane Gabrielle, and I am feeling withered from the heat. But I went to Fletcher Nichols opening tonight over at Carillion to Riverside, and it was just amazing. So
Excellent.
I'm uplifted by that.
Great.
I am Corey Greer, and I have had a pretty uneventful day, so I'm not really feeling like too much of anything, but yeah, it's going good so far, and I wish I had a better story. But for anybody who's new, I put together the newsletter from all the great talents that everybody else does, so
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks, Corey.
And he has a great shirt on, right?
He does.
That's true. I miss you, Dawn. I did story time today at the Weston Farmers Market. My word is sticky.
Yes.
I'm Polly Branch, and I got re-energized when I walked into the air conditioning. So, and realized that, I like carrying a musical instrument with me. It used to be just art supplies, visual art supplies. And I'm realizing I have a lot I want to be integrating this next coming year.
I'm Joy Truskowski, and I am feeling because I just arrived. And like I said, I forgot how hard it is to drive. I don't usually drive, but I'm borrowing a friend's car, and I decided I'm gonna drive it there, and it's all good, but yeah, parallel parking and one-way streets, I'm like, so I'm glad I'm arrived.
Yay. You look like Cinderella running into the gong.
I am technically on time.
You are. The bells
Yeah.
are still ringing. They rang for a long time.
I'm Rachel Ann. I am feeling both anxious and excited, which I think are two sides to the same thing, so.
See, and they're still ringing.
Right?
Good driven around the block. And I'm Douglas Jackson, and I am feeling, well, ups and downs today, just lots of ups and downs.
I'm Bebe Demure. I'm feeling, besides hot, I'm feeling excited. There's a lot of stuff I'm working on and a lot of stuff on the horizon, so yeah.
Jefferson Rose, 4 years of investment and research and pushing through when nothing was gonna work is 10 days from dropping into free fall. We're gonna see how it happens. So whatever the word is that exists at the intersection of resplendent and a frayed ball of nerves.
Wow,
That's the word.
yeah. That's a great space.
Yeah. Yeah,
Artistic window.
Yeah.
yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Let's hop on screen and we'll start with Robin.
Hello, everybody. So I heard withered. I've heard a little tired. I've had an eventful day. Some of you may know I work at Apple Ridge Farm this summer with all the great kids of Roanoke City. So we had a busy day. We had Tahisha Woods and Rudy up today and doing some African drumming, and that was pretty exciting. And one of the kids said that they were so inspired, and it was like a 6-year-old. We asked how they were feeling, and he said, I'm so inspired by Rudy. And you just never expect kids to say things like that. Like I didn't expect him to say that. I thought he would say like it was great. But I'm kind of energized, but I am ready to lay it down. I'm kind of tired.
And then let's go to Lee.
Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. Hi. You would think I would figure this out by now. Hey, I'm Lee. I am feeling in limbo. I feel a little suspended right now. And I remembered that this was going on and I needed to feel connected to all of you beautiful people. So I'm happy that I remembered and great to see you.
Thanks for being here, Lee. Catherine.
Oh, wait a minute. I gotta do it. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm feeling happy to be a little bit back into my normal scene teaching kids art. So we had a little summer art camp that I've had in my studio this week, and that feels really delightful. It's great to have kids in the studio, and I feel really fortunate. Instead of having to add it on to the end of a long school day in a rush, we have like the prime time with the kids. It's calm and 2 hours of just hanging out and doing art together with 9-year-olds. So it's been a great day.
Great. And Brett.
Yeah, well, I'm just feeling a little claustrophobic. I'm used to being outside a lot. Mostly I go out first thing in the morning and pull weeds and water, and then go out in the evening and chase the deer off. That's about it. But I have got a lot done in the house.
And you're just staying cool and
Yeah,
healthy and good. Good.
I
And
can't help but
Katie.
wander out on the back porch once in a while, but
Yeah. Katie.
The season's wearing me out too. I'm not able to be outside too much with the heat, and just feeling really, really very busy with work, long work days. So tired and also ready for sleep, but also grateful for community and friends more than ever.
Thanks, Katie. Susie.
Hi, I'm Susie. I'm feeling a lovely mix of gratitude and also super worn down. I feel like my whole life at some point geared towards figuring out really intense logistics for things. But also I get to work on really amazing things. So there's like a lovely mix of being so grateful that I get to work on some of these art projects and go on some trips and do some really amazing things. But I feel like I am swimming in logistics at the moment on several different parts of my life that I feel like I'm kind of holding together delicately. So a little complicated, grateful and really, really tired.
Yeah, that really resonates with me. Yeah. Does everybody kind of feel a little bit of that?
Yes.
Aren't we supposed to slow down in the summertime?
Right?
And be outside a little
Siesta.
bit and kind of regroup. We gotta find that time and place to do it. I'm trying to do it every day, but it doesn't hold. I get a little bit in each day, but it's not quite enough. I'm so inspired, Robin, that quote, that that sits with me as well. And like when we leave here, I'll be up to my eyeballs in things I don't quite understand and my head's spinning and I'm trying to do different things all at the surface. And then we come in and have a conversation like this and typically, well, every time. I feel so much better afterwards. So thank you. And thanks for all being here tonight in one form or another. And we want to do a few things tonight. We want to talk a little bit, we talked a lot last week about the artist in residence program and how that's structured. And we got a lot of it in. Remember, we talked about there are 3 kind of organizing elements for it this year. One is the Daisy Art Parade. Another kind of always is our public art program, especially since some of the money comes from the public art program to fuel what we're doing. And then third, another grant, the Arts Connect Neighbors program. And so we've got the catalog sitting there. If you don't have a catalog, I'll throw you one, but you're probably like me where you're whipping it out all the time. And I do want to talk a little bit tonight about how that, we're really trying to, with everything we're doing, we're trying to create this learning community so that we are learning as a community and figuring out how, like what the arts do for us, what they can do for us. And it's a really active question because we don't know until we try it. We might have some hunches. We might believe it, but have we really and we see it and we feel it, but maybe to a larger scale. And maybe in some communities where we haven't gotten engaged. So that's what I want to focus on a little bit tonight. And Katie's here and Joy's here. And we've gotten to get together in the same kind of fashion, either around this table or virtually with our fourth member of that group. Well, there are actually a couple other folks, but Antonio Stovall is part of that group. And then Molly Hunter with Neighborhood Services and Shalene Powell with the Roanoke Cultural Endowment. We get together on Fridays, every other Friday, and Katie leads us through this. And we focus on that program. And what I'd like to do tonight is hear from Katie and Joy and kind of about how they see it's going so far, what we're learning. I'd like to talk a little bit about, maybe talk about some of the neighborhood projects that are happening. And then we had a request tonight for one, and I want to get the kind of the brain trust here around the table and virtually thinking about it with me. Yeah, I think that'll be kind of a fun little conversation. And it's going to help us learn. And that's what this is all about. So let me share my screen real quickly. Okay, can you see that? Is it showing up? I guess it should be.
See a thumbs up.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And so you can see all them. There now, this is not very important, but it's to kind of push me through a little bit. Okay, so Arts Connect Neighbors, we haven't seen this done anywhere. We kind of made it up. We are, we've got one grant from the National Endowment for the Arts that we're about 60% through with. We've got another grant to continue it. And right now it's really focused toward neighborhoods. And that's intentional, and we want to see how we can use it to get neighbors kind of re-engaged. So tonight, someone called, and it was from a Neighborhood Watch organization. And Neighborhood Watch is set up one way. They're kind of organized. Probably something's happened in the neighborhood, or they want to make sure that people know that they're watching out for each other, and it's a little kind of a defensive posture, which is terrific and needed. But Molly Hunter is really good about saying, hey, how can we organize around something fun and something positive and creative that's not that way. So that's a terrific example, and we're going to come back to that in a little bit. But we've had about 40 activities so far that have been done. A number of you are in the catalog, and our goal is to get everybody who's in the catalog. There are 50 activities in the catalog. And we're hoping to get all those activities done in one way or another. So we're gonna start working with folks and saying, hey, how about trying this one? When someone asks for face painting, we've done some face painting. We might get a little bit more, get in there with them and say, hey, well, that's fun. What's the next step? What if we got people painting? Because we got a couple of paint events, which is still something that people are familiar with. And that might be a little friendlier to them or more accessible than to the Latin dance party, maybe, in their neighborhood. They may not envision that yet, but we want to get them there too. So, with that, let me ask, I want to ask Katie and Joy to think about this and kind of talk a little bit. Big picture, how do you see the work that you're doing? Just big picture, and then kind of what you've learned or hope to learn in the last stretch of this as well. So either one of you can start just kind of talking about big picture, how you see what you're doing.
Yeah, I can speak to that. So I think I heard you say this, Doug, that the first step to get neighborhoods to really connect and to be able to make difficult decisions together is for them to make fun decisions together and plan something fun. So to me, the big picture is that we're connecting the neighbors and all the different neighborhoods, especially the ones that don't have as much activity. So they get going, planning events together and then going to the events together and like doing something fun, relating to each other on a human level. And then down the road, if and when difficult decisions come up or situations, they already have connections, they already relate to each other. And we just have stronger communities. And that's why I'm passionate about this project, because it's just, that's what we need, especially now with all the divisiveness in our society, to get and then in our society, usually you don't even know your neighbor. You just go to work and come home. We're all driving in our cars. So let's rebuild society where neighbors are talking to each other regardless of their background or religion or whatever, and just see each other on a human level.
Thanks, Troy.
Great. I echo what Joy says and would add, I kind of see myself as an arts matchmaker and kind of somebody who's at the call board of an old telephone operator. Somebody calls in and says, I'm really interested in doing this. And I'm like, okay, we're going to patch you through to this artist. So there are people making requests each week, and we're able to connect as a team and divvy out the roles of being able to match make artists and connect them to coordinate next steps with neighborhoods. So kind of see myself as that matchmaker and being able, like Joy said, to make connections between artists and neighbors in order to help neighborhoods meet their goals through the arts.
Let's check in with some artists too who've done some events or even if you're in the catalog and starting to talk with folks about it.
Hey Doug, I wanna chime in that the Arts Connect Neighbors is also an Arts Connect artist, because I was at a party and I got to meet the person that you introduced us to over one of these calls, who has the art truck. Cynthia.
Yeah, Cynthia.
Yeah, I was at a party and someone else was like, Catherine, aren't you involved with this project? I want you to meet my friend. And it was just really nice because she had heard about the Arts Connect Neighbors. And I didn't happen to have a catalog in my hand, but my friend that introduced us said, I'll send her one. So it was just really nice that what we're doing is having a ripple outside of just Roanoke.
Great, yeah. And Catherine, to talk a little bit about your, you've done an event, or
Yes.
you've been talking to other people about events
Yes.
Did
Well,
you learn anything or
Oh,
have?
I'm so delighted. I really do want to do more of these. I definitely feel like I've talked it up and people will still need to be kind of walked through it. But I did get to be part of an event and it was just so rewarding to see the result, which my project was hosting a little pop-up market that would allow people who are creative makers but haven't ever shown their work and so this pop-up market was just the perfect chance for someone to put their work out in a non-stressful way where there was no expense and in a friendly block party kind of feeling, and was so delighted that they next 2 weeks later had a booth at a craft show. So it felt really like that first show that we did. Joy, you came and said hi. Anyhow, it just was gratifying to see that the idea of giving people a chance to put their work out gave them the confidence and the fun of being part of something like that again on their own.
Great. Misty, you're starting to talk to some folks. Are the conversations going well?
I think so. I think that, really the thing is, when the people come in, really knowing what they're looking for. I think a lot of times it's a lot of choices. And I think we know that choice paralysis is a real thing for a lot of us. And I think a lot of times they have this idea, like I got to actually meet the people I spoke to on the phone at the farmer's market. So it's like, okay, small town Roanoke. But like after talking with her, I was like, I think you're gonna want a different art project, kind of just listening to what she was hoping for and reflecting back to her, kind of what she was hoping. But, I think it's still one of those things that because it's all new, it's something that we're all navigating. And I think that, it's fun to get to connect with people and to build those relationships. So, yeah.
That's choice paralysis.
Well, and I also think they don't know what they want out of it. A lot of times they're like, oh, I want to do this. Can I do this? I'm like, sure. What's your goal? And I think that, people don't know what there's a goal there, and it doesn't have to be a goal, but I think helping people know what their intentions are when they're doing these art projects, that's part of how art heals, right? Is calling us to that mindfulness and calling us to that intention. So, I think it's wonderful and
And that notion of having a goal, or having kind of having criteria for making your decision. If you know what your goal is, you can say, okay, well, if we want to engage young people and connect the neighbors. Okay, right there, you've got something. You can put 3 items down in front of it and say, okay, which one of these? Do a checkbox. Okay, does this one engage young people? Does this one connect neighbors?
Do you want to be active or inactive? How you don't
So-
want to move, you're not going to be doing salsa dancing.
Yeah. But it's amazing when you get a group together, they often don't have, somebody's either not willing or they don't think to say, well, hey, let's just have a process for how we make the decision. And it could be based in our goals. And we can just go through this and you know what? It doesn't matter. We'll pay for all of them. We just want to know which one you want to do first. In a
Well,
way.
and that's what I said, you could do both.
Yeah.
I said, that's not a problem, because it would be fun to play with both things, but if it just depends on what you're really hoping to do. So, I think after talking with her, I explained that, when I'm doing this, it's to be in each other's neighborhood, like in your yards. Like part of this is the collecting of materials for mine, because then you're in your neighbor's yard, you're at a place that you haven't been before, and they're welcoming you into a space that might not be their home, right? Not everyone feels welcome to bring you into their home, but the yard is that common area that you can build those relationships within the community. So I just told her, I said, we can do the cool little concrete steppers, and you could do the flower $100. It's up to you. But I just think you need to know what you're wanting, and I think that, people are like, oh, I don't know. I can't make that decision for you. I think as an artist, I think that's the hard part of how to help support someone once you've made that contact of you know, who are you wanting to invite? Who can be invited? Yes, the goal is neighborhoods. We also talked about, maybe a thought and a feedback, sorry, ADHD brain, is making like yard signs. Hey, because part of what she and I talked about is neighbors have different schedules. And you might really want to talk to your neighbor that lives next door to you, but they work at night and you never see them. So what if we had Arts Connect? Hey, we're gonna have this event in the neighborhood at this yard, and they put it in their yard the week before. And then the neighbors who are coming and going, whether they're out of town or on vacation or at work, can see it, even if they don't have that direct contact, to really build in that neighborhood and not just have your friends from a couple blocks over come over because you're already your friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that'd be a great thing to coach them to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Katie, did you work with, Grandin Road?
Yeah, the Grandin Court pancake.
Grandin Court. Yeah. How'd they get the word out on theirs?
Oh, good question. I think they've just over time they've established a routine and ritual of doing monthly pancake breakfasts in their yard every Saturday of the summer. So I think with that regularity, they had their group of folks that already kind of know that's going to be happening, and it had happened the year before. And I believe they probably just sent an email out to the neighborhood list. So they were with that actual neighborhood association.
Yeah. I love the idea, and I think Missy just really modeled that really well for us. And that we said, I think in one of the Friday afternoon calls or when we first started, Joy and Katie are working and asking neighborhoods these questions and coaching them through that. But we really expected that everybody ends up doing this, because that's only one level. And then as soon as they get connected with the artist, then the artist is thinking, oh, well, how do I tailor what I'm going to do if I'm doing kindness stones? I think, or when you did the Chalkway to Hope, we said, what's the theme for the event? And it was the Hope Center, and they said, oh, well, it's hope. And how do you see hope? How do you go about it, Jane, when you're doing one of your events? Because you've done kindness stones. If you've done, what did you do at Indian Rock Village?
That was Chalkways.
Chalkways? Okay.
Yeah, I've done Chalkways and I've done the kindness stones. And I've done the stepping stones, but that was outside the catalog. But the stepping stones was amazing. And I really wish that people would give that one a whirl.
It sounds like you might have somebody.
Yeah, because it was really amazing. And I just appreciate Polly showing up for that, and Brian as well. I had the wrong kind of concrete, I know now. But
It's a whole learning experience.
yeah, it was something else.
That's okay, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I just talked to the folks that want the event and find out what the themes are, get there early, talk it up amongst people, get the kids excited. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make this whole sidewalk full of chalk drawings, and I'll make a drawing. I think at Indian Village, I did a giant unicorn or something, because all kids love unicorns. Asking them, what would make their neighborhood better. And then the kids could answer that, so it's pretty cool. It's another thing, I have not figured out how to do this yet, but I'm aware that there are some things that people aren't choosing because of you don't have 2 hours to do that or whatever. So I bought a couple big decks of those large format playing cards. And I'm thinking about cutting up the catalog and sticking them on cards and making some sort of game out of it. Like you roll dice and you get 2 cards, and your goal is to get one of every suit or some. Actually, you probably good at figuring this out.
Yeah.
Actually, I was gonna ask to jump. I'm not in the Arts Connect Neighbors catalog, but hearing this whole analysis paralysis problem, as a magician, give them the choice you want to give them and run with it. Just get them started. Like what you do, but like what you say, you're making the deck, you're just like, they're looking at the whole deck. And if you just make it so they draw one off the top and they go with that one, or two, and pick a choice between two. You were saying, as, I think you said, as the artist, it's not my job to choose for you what you want to do between the two. And in the most friendly way I can disagree. Yes, it is. You can absolutely say, just get started with one, doesn't matter, let's pick this one together. And then we'll do the other one next time, because you said you can do all of them, right? There's no cap to this. So, the novelist Alan Moore famously said, if the audience knew what they needed, they wouldn't be the audience, they'd be the artist. Just pick and kick it down their, like, politely, kick it down their throat so they get started on something. Right? Just like you wanna issue the deck, which is an awesome idea. I might be stepping out of bounds, but that is kind of my lifestyle.
There are no bounds.
But it's also my job to take over a street corner and tell you, this is what you want to see. So, if this is the problem with this, or let's say, if this is the dilemma with this issue right now, is that people are having a hard time picking stuff, push the one that you're most excited for them to do, because you know what they need.
So can I jump in? I just wanted to share this idea that I've been imagining, which is for the busking, I want to bring some of my puppets from the busking event and have like a table where kids can make a quick, easy popsicle stick puppet, but use that as a way to promote my puppet project that's in the catalog. So I don't know if that's a good idea, but that's what I'm dreaming up for myself, is that a chance to be out in public with my project so people can meet me, talk about it, and then hopefully book the event once they have a chance to see how fun it's gonna be.
Sure, so if I can quickly go through that, I saw your puppet comment under that on Facebook. I think what you just briefly described is a really cool idea. And definitely exposing what you do for gigs or for other events through what you do on the street is definitely an option and a good thing. You meet so many different people on so many different dilemmas, on so many different choices that they're making. This person's going to ice cream next, this person's late to pay their parking ticket. You gotta stop so many different people, so many different things. It has to be dead stupid simple and easy, and all they have to do is stand there and appreciate it. And then you can push the next thing. So I'll do a juggling show and then talk about the juggling class I teach for kids in Elmwood Park at 6 o'clock on Thursdays. But I'm not trying to teach kids how to juggle during the juggling show. So I'd love to talk with you one-on-one about that, because it's just not something that that's a great idea. And it's super wicked smart, a way to utilize a street show as a tool to promote other things. But it's not something that I can address long form in this conversation.
And, on the, Corey.
I was just gonna say, it would be cool if you're doing a puppet show at an event with people busking, you could have some musicians kind of do the soundtrack or the score to your puppet show.
Oh, yeah. The number of times I've had a bucket drummer interrupting my straitjacket escape, and I've just been like, hold on. Do this together. Give me a drum roll. And you bring it together, it's great. Yeah, you can absolutely collaborate. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And then, look at Kate. I love Katie's the visual there. On the kind of the modification thing, we don't have 2 hours, we don't have 4 weeks to do a series of things. That is okay. This catalog is super flexible. You can find a way to change what you're doing and do it in a way that the neighborhood is going to help the neighborhood. Let's do it. All this does is give us a tool to pay you. So the kind of the way we did it at the Taubman, where it was a different kind of thing. Mike Moran did puppets out at the Latinos Dream Big Festival, and just kind of, he has it set up for like a bigger workshop, but instead he just like put out a blanket and had the puppets, and kids could come play with the puppets. so there is a lot of flexibility that way. And and we're gonna turn it over in just a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about the whole busking event on.
I didn't mean to
Oh, no,
hijack
no, no,
that.
no, I plan to do that anyway.
Okay,
So we're gonna talk about that a little bit as a preview to the 19th and 20th. But if you want to be part of that, with what you're doing to pilot something, let's do that too.
I think I also wanna kind of tell in, I don't think you understand too, is part is what Joy and Katie do is they kind of talk to the neighbors first and then they filter them to the artists. So by that time they've made the choice. But it was within my second or third dialogue with her that she thought I was one thing and not the one thing she wanted. And so I
okay.
said, and that's why I was like, I didn't
the
get all of
example.
that. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I did say, you could choose us both. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I guess. I mean, ask Doug or ask,
Okay.
and so you're good.
I thought it was between two that you do.
No. It was me and another artist. And that's why I was like, I cannot make this decision, but I
Got
would
you.
gladly, play flowers with you. But it was a moment where I think she just had names misunderstood and it was a genuine like.
And keep in mind that people do not read.
They look at the picture.
They look at the picture.
They
Why
barely look at the pictures.
Why did I work hard and put all those words in that catalog?
That's why I think playing cards are a good idea.
I love this idea. I do think and I think it would be fun to if that would be a good tool to go to the different neighborhood meetings and say, you get a card, pick a card, your community gets to choose this.
Yeah.
Or walk up to a neighbor, if you're walking down Southeast somewhere, you're like, hey, oh, I love your garden. Here, will you choose a card and you get to win a free class from the city? If we promote it in a different way that we're giving this to you and you get a couple neighbors together and you get to do this for free.
Yeah.
It's a different way than we're saying, here, look at our catalog, choose one of us.
Where it's like a labor intensive thing.
It is, it's cutting out this coming to us and
do
it's,
this.
I like the idea of gamifying it for sure.
Yeah, whether it's a deck of
incentive.
cards or hopscotch or whatever, throw a rock at it, doesn't matter. Yeah, that's good.
And you said that half of them have been.
Ooh, how many of the 50 have been utilized total?
Another
half of-
is.
Yeah.
Everybody.
25.
So he said, half of them have been.
And do we want everybody
You don't wanna
to,
look like
in the
Katie.
catalog to have a chance to?
Yeah, we want to get everybody.
That would be another way of push the ones that haven't.
Yeah, so we're gonna start doing that. And ideally, we were thinking that if somebody has done one, then maybe they'll be ready for a fall one, and that might be one where they're more comfortable and doing a more in-depth one.
Yeah, I got you.
So, do we have time to go through and say this one's been done and that?
Oh, I can send a list out, have it, listed.
It's funny because you're the one that is the first one is the stone one. It's like, or second one, sorry. It was like it's like on the second page, it was and I was like, oh, is that the one she's thinking? But
There's a reason politicians want to be top of the ballot. They don't read very far.
We should have called it AAA Arts Connection.
Yeah. Or locksmiths back in the days of phone books, always used to be A1 locksmith, because you were alphabetically first.
Yeah. Katie, what are you seeing there?
Well, I'm just noticing in some of the events that I've been doing, there's a difference between there are a lot of neighborhood events that are organized and larger, like block parties with loud music, and they kind of know what they want, and there are specific arts offerings that fit with that. And I was noticing that it will be kind of a strategy to be able to find the places for those quieter ones, like embroidered memories or ones that have meditation and the space that need a little bit more time for people to be together. So that's just an observation to me. And I'm also looking through the list of the ones we have and the ones we haven't done yet, just to kind of study up to help with the prescribing.
Yeah.
You know, if you make that deck, you could put the ones that haven't been done in twice, so then they're likely that it's, I'm just stack the deck, I'm just saying.
And Jane, if you wanna do that, let's, we'll pay to have it done, or we can borrow, I gotta borrow, Catherine's laminator anyway for something else, but we can have a party and do it, or we can.
That'd
we
be
can have
great, cause
fun.
I got 2 decks, so we could have them floating, you know,
Mhm.
for us to use in different
Yeah.
things, you know.
Yeah. I like that thought. Katie and Joy, any other thoughts about?
Yeah, as Katie was pointing that out, you know, the difference between among some of the events, like I realized like some of them, you know, there's like, you know, the wooden train workshop, which is really cool. It's a 4-hour workshop, so that's like a pretty big time commitment. And I bet that he would be really flexible, but like somebody's gonna look at that initially and be like, well, who's gonna be able to give 4 hours, you know, and they're gonna like skip over it. So I don't know, it's just like something to, I don't know, it's like we're all learning these lessons here,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? Yeah, just like considering what are some of the barriers, like the circle singing, like we haven't. Like I just realized looking at some of the other ones that are more like easier interactions, I think people look at circle singing and they're like, whoa, I don't know, I put the neighbors together and sing with them. You know, like when we proposed it, a bunch of people were like, that sounds like fun, but then they're like, you know, when it comes down to like the rubber meets the road. So like, so now like I'm thinking about ways to shift the language where, like, so for example, I went and did a thing at Apple Ridge Farm with the kids. And so I didn't do what I would have done in this workshop with the kids because they're a bunch of kids and it's chaos and they're just like, it's like herding cats. So I brought my guitar and my drum and my harmonium. So it was like more like an instrument show and tell. And then I sang interactive songs with them. And then I did some fun interactive games. So it's like, you know, like just shifting this to be like, oh, this is like a musical interactive experience. And then, you know, and then it's less intimidating or more flexible for what people need.
On that note, I know how to go in and put somebody else in the catalog. Isn't that exciting? We're gonna put another entry in the catalog. And we're gonna do a call coming up soon and make it out, because people have asked me about it. Oh, hey, you know, I can do this for a neighborhood.
You know, in my head, I'm like, I wanna not do this one now, and now I wanna do my story times, like, that, you know what I mean? Like mentally, I'm like.
Well, you can add it in. And so we'll do a call. There's no limit to how many we can have in there, and we'll look at how we're organizing it to make it clear. I still wanna get better about pushing them out there too. And we've got some good pictures to share.
Is there an Instagram for the Arts Connect?
Just the Arts Commission, like we'll use that. And then Cody's always really good about sharing it with on Art Space. If you know, if we
I was just wondering if we would feature an artist for the week.
yeah,
You know, like highlight those that haven't been selected. That might be a good idea.
Yeah, I think we did one post like that, and then we did a couple in the newsletter with it. Yeah, it's just a matter of time. It's a halftime job. That might be something that the communicator, as we're digging forward, might be some newsletter content that could be an easy way to do it if we get together and think about it.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I try to share stuff on my Facebook too, like I just put out the application and I message a few people personally, be like, hey, you know, you might be interested in this. I think everybody working together, if you've got Instagram or Facebook or whatever you have it all, you know, to share this when it comes along, it makes a big connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do we have any testimonials from people who have received that? You know what I mean? Like received the Art Connect things, because I think that.
Yeah, we do. And we're asking for a report from everybody. So we've got, you know, maybe about a third of those folks have sent them in. And I think I sent in the last note, I sent a reminder to people and just sent it to everybody. Said, don't forget to give us some pictures and a report. So we're asking that for the artist and then from the neighborhood. So, yeah, we can check in with folks and do that as well. I still think hand to hand, person to person is gonna be the big thing with this.
I mean, how structured is the feedback? Is it just how was your time? Or is it like an actual survey?
It's a survey.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So,
I
and
feel
then,
like that's more motivation.
yeah, yeah, like kind of like what'd you learn? And then like, I think a little bit of what's next,
Okay,
too,
yeah.
like what we do next. Yeah. All right, any other thoughts on this before we ask you? Here's a question, an example. So National Night Out's coming up and it's August 6th, and we've been kind of encouraging people. Corey's been putting the newsletter every time, hey, what are you doing for National Night Out? And so the neighborhoods were thinking about it. Did get a call today and someone said, oh, it's National Night Out. So it's still, that's pretty good. It's still a month away. And we're gonna get more calls coming, I think, as we go. But there was for the kindness stones. And it was Old Mountain Road neighborhood or neighborhood watch. And she said it just the same way that we're saying it. She said, because she was at your workshop that you did at the library and with the presidents. And she said, oh, and it's getting towards school time and we want to get those students. She had read it. And she said, we want to do the stones and put them out for the kids to find when they're going for the first day to the bus. Yeah, I know. But they want to do it on August 6th, National Night Out, and I told her you were booked. And I said, I do what I always do. I said, well, we've got lots of other artists in the catalog, and here are a couple of things. And then, so we started talking, and she kept coming back. She said, I really sold them on the kindness stones.
But anybody could do that.
Yeah. So that's,
Any artist could lead that.
yeah. So that's I want to kind of put out there. If someone wants to do that with this neighborhood, you'd said that before. So if you're okay with that, well,
I design all my stuff, so all I gotta do is send you the Amazon wish list of materials and go do it. I get requests a lot of times like, oh, we want you to come do a paint night. And I'm like, well, there's lots of paint nights in this catalog. And they're like, what do we want to do with you? And I'm like, I mean, I can do a paint night. I just didn't know what the protocol is on that.
Right. Yeah. I still haven't really consult that. We do have some paint nights in there. But that's the kind of thing. If you we don't have any limit on it. So if you would do another entry and have another entry for that.
Okay.
I did send, we've got 3 people who I know can do paint night. I had a request today from that for a paid job for a local university, and they need a 90-minute paint or art activity. I said, here are 3 artists who I know do paint nights. And I bet one of them is going to be available. And I described them and sent them the links. That's the next step for the catalog too, because it's not just for neighbors in the next round of it. The next, we're not going to do it in January, but we're going to reprint it by next June. So a year from now, we'll print another version of the catalog. It won't look like this. It'll be more like a kind of a magazine celebrating things that have happened, those testimonials, images, and then it'll have a shorter listing of all the ideas in different categories. And that one, we're gonna have a way where when someone requests it, it goes to me, and it goes, if it's for kindness stones, it'll go to me and to Jane. And if it's for someone who wants to pay for it, then I'll just, oh, Jane, you got this? And Jane's like, yep. Or if it's one that we're paying for a neighborhood, then we'll go through the same process. But that'll start next year, or after March, we'll start working that way. And so I've already been talking with other communities because we want this to be additional revenue stream for the artist. And eventually, we'll always have the catalog and we'll be able to use the artist, but other people will be able to use the artist as well.
So I have one question. So I think I remember you saying that I did an event where they just had me come and do face painting. And while I was there, I was talking about the catalog because I was there with Laura, who does the 5-minute portraits. And they said, well, maybe we could have you guys come back in the fall when they do a pet food drive. And they had us there as kind of entertainment, interact with the public while they they have dogs for adoption. This is like a community event at the Wasina Tap Room. And she said, well, maybe we could have you guys come back for that through the catalog. And I don't know how you are doing with that now, whether we are using restaurants or third places as that place that could hire us as artists.
Yeah, well, first, a third place could be the neighborhood is doing the event there, which is fine. It's just, that's a real asset to a neighborhood to have a brewery or a place that's where they can gather. But if it's the business that wants to do it, if they're doing it with the neighborhood, I don't see any problem.
Okay, so this was like a SPCA kind of like dog adoption event for the neighborhood.
So if it's in partnership, I guess if it's in partnership with the neighborhood and they're working on it together, that could be fine. We talk about it and look at the details of it.
So if somebody suggests that, so should I say get together with your neighborhood organization and pin it down as a way to?
So Belmont, not Belmont, Bethlehem Bible College reached out and they wanted Community Arts Reach to come to a performance. And they've got a terrific location right there on Cove Road and 3-acre site. And it could be, and Reverend Marsh is thinking about it as a community hub, the same way Lick Run Farm is a community hub. And same thing we did with Cam. We said, hey, if you're working with Washington Park neighborhood and Melrose Rugby neighborhood, by all means, let's do things there. So, depending on who it is, as long as we're, sometimes a neighborhood has a place to gather and it's a private business. They just haven't thought about it. Another example is we paid for Linda to do the solstice event at the Rescue Mission's Second Helpings Cafe. And there's the Noble Watch neighborhood is right there. And the Rescue Mission said, oh, we're really interested in connecting with the neighborhood. We want this to be a place that they come. They could have their meetings here. So they made the connection. I don't know if that'll happen, but they had the event and we paid for it. So there's a lot of flexibility there. Catherine, the one point I did want to make on that was maybe next time, if you've already done it with them, that maybe it's not the face painting and the portraiture, which are both pretty passive. Maybe we get them to step up to another one, and we get the Star City voice effort there. Get there, and get them sharing some stories. That's what I really want to see happening.
Or hip hop.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let me put it out there. November, good Lord.
You just want a cooler weather.
August 6th. Is anyone interested in working with me with that neighborhood and with Jane and figuring out how to get the Kindness Stones activities happening? She really sold me when I was talking with her. I think it's a really good thing for the neighborhood to make it happen.
August.
Is anybody?
I'm trying to figure out if I signed up for, I think I signed
What
up
day
for
of the
something.
week is
I don't
August 6th?
remember.
Tuesday, it's National Night Out.
What
Jane-
is that? So.
Jane,
this is
aren't
another thing.
we already doing that?
So it's a celebration of your neighborhood and sort of taking back the night. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know?
And
um,
developing relationships within the
Yeah,
neighborhood, which is
you know,
what all this is about.
Right.
Neighborhood development has been, ongoing effort, because it kind of comes and goes depending on who's participating in the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Who's moved and who's not,
Yeah. And often, like this one, I don't know who started National Night Out, but public safety is often involved, right? So they get the fire.
Yeah, they usually
firefighters,
tour
the
all of
police. Yeah, they get it around all of them.
Are you saying you need more hands? What are you asking?
She can't do it. She's I didn't make that clear. Jane's very active in Melrose Rugby, and they've got some
Right.
events happening there, hopefully happening
Lots
there,
of
right?
stuff, and I can't not be there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So we are doing the one at McCadden Park, isn't that right?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's Melrose Rugby.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And someone, maybe the aerialists are doing something at Melrose
Yeah,
Towers.
Melrose Towers.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Yeah.
We need to sign a color.
There's
I'm
50
sorry.
there's 50 neighborhoods, but probably only 12 with active neighborhood groups maybe, so.
And,
Neighborhood night outs are only done by those who are active.
yeah. And I think Southeast and South Roanoke do theirs together, and they requested something, but it was already taken. I said, go back to the catalog and let's find some other things for it. I need to follow up with her and maybe make a recommendation. I need to
Put Jefferson on
put
it.
it in her hand and say, this is the one you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds like maybe 4 or 5 different neighborhoods.
Yeah, so there are 4 or 5 happening already. I bet we'll get a few more requests. But, and we're watching the ones, we know which ones are really popular. And they are the ones where you don't have to sing.
I mean, that is genuinely the technique to move forward.
Yeah,
If there's 5 people and 4 of them are intent to watch what you're doing, and one of them doesn't know if they wanna watch or not, that's who's participating. That's who pulls the car out of the back. Now they're holding a prop, now they're in the show, and now you move forward as a group.
yeah.
You just make the command decision. So, yeah, it's definitely,
Sometimes we can,
and people,
volunteer to show up.
yeah,
I've done that with Linda's drumming or with Joey's singing, to be a volunteer
To help fill the
participant,
crowd.
to get them going, say, you know, I'm willing to do this, come on, you know, gather up some of the kids.
maybe I phrased it too like kicking down the throat was terrible.
No, I know.
But as artists, everyone here craves more choices.
Right.
Everyone not in this room is terrified of too many choices. But they, and this is not meant to be offensive to anybody, but their day-to-day is, they go in at a specific time, they do a schedule and they get out, and it's someone else has made those choices for them. So if you can help them, guide them through choices the way they're guided through almost every other choice they do, you're good to go.
Okay,
They don't want 50 things to pick from.
yeah, well, they're gonna have 100.
Well, and that might be something as feedback to think about as, you know, in the next one, putting a little space that is, if you're here, do a little frame, like, this is you. Here's some questions to think of. What top 3 are gonna have the most fun? What's 3 things have them fill out, what are 3 things you never would do? Right? Because that might be something that they need to do, you know, not recognizing that I would never sing in public with a bunch of people. And I talk to my friends, oh my God, could you imagine how silly we would sound if we all started singing? It's teaching them how to do the reflecting, because people aren't reflecting when they look at this. They just see pictures and they it's so automated in their thinking. And so giving them the questions in the magazine to reflect of what scares you the most? Which 3 activities scare you the most? Which 3 activities have you already done? Which 3 activities have you always wanted to do? You know,
Always wanted to do but never tried.
Yeah, or which 3 would you do with your best friend but not alone? You know, helping them kind of go with the thinking.
That's the best way to phrase that question.
Well, and group decision-making is one of the big, deeper, long-term goals. You know, it's not just one person saying, I'm the event committee person and I'm picking this out by myself, which is probably how it's mostly done, but
Sure.
It's usually
ideally,
one person emailing, right, or one person calling.
yeah.
And
I mean,
which is-
the ideal is that it's a group.
Yeah.
Which is
Of course.
Yeah, because that's the problem, right? Somebody grabs hold of power, keeps it all kind of themselves, and they make all the decisions. And even if they don't grab, even if you don't, it's not
And
power, it's
and
not
this
a
is
power
just-
grab, it's just,
Right, and this is just for a
Responsibility.
block party or, you know, something fun.
but then when that person goes
The next
away.
layer is changing
you
society,
feel that
culture,
dynamic.
Well,
building
that's-
buildings, putting up art centers, big
Absolutely.
decisions that are going on in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
This is just kind of a stimulus, right?
Yeah, and this, like, I think the conversation started with, is a
I was
novel,
gonna say,
is a novel idea I haven't seen anywhere. This is really cool.
It's awesome.
And you're right, that the end goal should be group decision making and whatnot. If there's one person willing to make the decision for the group on the first
Yeah.
event, just so the ball rolls downhill.
Right.
And then everyone else gets caught up in it on the way
Right,
down.
or they're like, I mean, this was fun, but I also saw in the catalog that there's this, I think this would be cool to do that next time, or
Well,
whatever.
and that might
I'll
be
be
part of
at
the
that party when
survey
it's
though.
5:30.
But I think like maybe that's part of the thing is in the survey part is that next time, what would you choose? You know, or you know what I mean? Like tying those questions and who will decide this next, you know, like helping them in the survey, giving us the feedback, teaching them, feeding them right, helping them do that next step.
Well, we have been successful in giving you a taste of what, the facilitators do.
I wanna go on Fridays.
It is fun. It's a lot of, you know, it's fun. Okay, so, on the 19th and 20th, and I'm gonna follow up, or you follow up with me if you're interested in doing the kindness stones. I really do want Betty Whitaker and the folks at Old Mountain Road neighborhood to have kindness stones. I told her I'd be out there doing it myself if I didn't find anybody.
I just checked, I have a gig. I was willing to do it, but I have a library gig. I'm posting balloons for kids in the county.
Oh, good, yeah, thank you. Okay, so the 19th and 20th, there is Bus Roanoke.
Yep,
Yep.
and semi unofficially the 21st, as I've been putting it out there. So,
Right.
which is kind of great, because if it's one that DRI and the Arts Commission are pushing for the 20th, and that gets a lot of traction. I just heard so many people saying like Saturdays are, you know, I can't do Saturdays, I got a soccer game or whatever. So it was like, you know what? I'm already gonna have these out of towners with some street performing experience in town. Might as well just keep them for Sunday. So my personal Facebook event page that I put up does have it listed for Sunday as well.
Is it
So
rain or
who-
shine?
It's rain or shine. That's how street performance works, man. Yeah. I have been in Toronto when, there's a cowgirl doing a bottle walk on the balance beam. And you have to take your shirt off and start wiping the bottles in front of her down so she doesn't slip because she's already most of the way through her show and it started raining. It is rain or shine. It's the most rewarding and simultaneously the most challenging theater space you will ever occupy is the street. And that's what I'm excited to get people excited about it for, because there is no safety net, but there's also total freedom to do what you want. And when we have the workshop, well, let me start there, I guess. Instead of starting in the middle of answering a question. So my name is Jefferson Rose. I am a professional Roanoke's currently only full-time professional street performer. I started here on my 30th birthday when I gave myself liberty to finally do that, quit my job as security systems analyst and did what I always wanted. And since then, 4 years later, I have traveled to 60 different cities in the United States and Canada, and I'm planning a European tour, totally supporting myself with street theater. And it's because I've been able to do it on Market Street in Roanoke the very first time 4 years ago. Is today the 9th? 4 years ago today.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So I started a few months before my birthday that year and went full time on my birthday. But my first time after taking years off to do the right thing and have a 401k and a security systems job. This is my busking birthday. I didn't think about that.
Oh,
That's pretty
Happy
good.
birthday.
Thank you. So it's a whole lifestyle and style of theater that is more common in places like Cairo, in places like Bangalore where people walk. It's not very common in the US. It's more common in Canada, it's more common in Europe. But there are places in the US where it's huge. Key West, Florida, New Orleans, Houston, Burlington, Vermont, Eastern Canada, we'll just call it that for this sake of this conversation. Boston, Salem, Massachusetts, Providence, Rhode Island, New York City, obviously, places where people walk. And Roanoke has been built with these beautiful walkable plazas and streets all over the place. And people complain about walking them because they're empty. So I thought if we encourage locals to build a culture where there's something going on in as many little pockets of these plazas and street corners as possible, you're gonna lose the mind-numbing walk of 5 blocks from where you can find a parking spot to the brewery you're going to for dinner. So you're gonna lose the complaints about parking being terrible, because objectively it's not. I've parked in Boston, I've parked in New Orleans, I've parked in New York, I've parked in New York City.
Yep.
Had to drag my show kit, which weighs 60 pounds, a mile and a half down Manhattan to get to Washington Square Park. Like, Roanoke's easy to park in. The problem that people are actually saying when they don't complete the sentence of we lost these parking spaces when Market Square was built in 2014 with those brick plazas is we lost these parking spaces and got nothing in return for it. So when you give them something in return for it, all those complaints are gonna die. Well, 95% of them.
You still have to pay for parking.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's that
Oh,
5%
Yeah,
people,
you have to
sorry.
pay all of $5. So what Doug and DRI and, I've got a lot of support from you guys individually as well, and the community at large, and the fan base that I've built, struggling out here, doing it for 4 years. Have been really cool to support is an idea that on the 19th in the market building at 6 p.m. If you are interested in sharing your art with the community and learning how to do that for tips, it's going to be a conversation about the culture and etiquette and theory of street theater, particularly a model that I've developed that I think will work for Roanoke based on my travel to 60 different cities in the last 4 years, taking a piece of Boston, taking a piece of Montreal, taking a piece of Key West that I think would work for Roanoke. No one's ever done this before on this scale. Normally, you have someone like Will Soto from Key West who just loved it there and stayed and was the first street performer there. And 49 years later, there's a culture and he retires. There's someone like Kenny the Clown in Asheville who started there 22 years ago, and now it's a thing in Asheville.
So so Jefferson, one thing I want to throw this out there for folks who are not interested in performing but would like to support this is to pick a designated night that they can come and be able to participate by giving you some tips or showing up. So I just would like to throw that out there, that it would be really great to coordinate this with the art community and having Art by Night be a destination night, to say Art by Night, first Friday of every month is a night that you can walk the streets safely. There's more entertainment, there's music, there's performances, and maybe you can even get some of the galleries to, you know, be a destination that you can be in front of, that people can walk from gallery to gallery to spread it out.
I love that you brought that up because there is a bi-weekly event, and by bi-weekly I mean every 2 weeks, not every half week, in Fort Myers, Florida, just inland from Fort Myers Beach, the island, where they have every first Friday of the month is Art Walk.
Yeah.
Where visual artists come out presenting wares on a market very similar to Roanoke's as far as topographically built. And then street performers come out and basically set up between the artists with their vendor stalls, whether they're playing saxophone or doing juggling or whatever they do. And all of those art stalls and all of those street shows are dotted in spaces designated between the bars, the restaurants, the gift shops, the art galleries, and it's all open, and it creates this conveyor belt of commerce and interest, and that people come from a wide way to do that. That's every first Friday. Every third Friday on the same strip is Music Walk, where the painters and visual artists are more on the back foot as far as they're highlighted, and they're highlighting the musicians more. But it's the same local group that comes out and does art walk and music walk. It's just a different focus, first Friday versus third Friday. And that is something that once Bus Roanoke, I'm abandoning the word if. Once Bus Roanoke has been a successful program, being structured into something like you're talking about, Art by Night is a great term for that, or Art Walk as it's done in Fort Myers, Florida, becomes a little more structured and a little more crystallized so that it's easier for people to navigate once we have a local culture that has learned what their show is, which has learned what they can put out there. So you're absolutely right, that's phase 2.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So on the 19th, you want
On 19, on the,
participating performers and artists or no?
So there'll be a workshop on the evening of the 19th at 6 o'clock.
So that's a
Okay.
learning session where
Just
we
a
come
learning.
to learn. We don't need to bring
Not
any
bring-
materials.
no,
Yeah,
no,
just
the
come and sit and
the
learn,
19th
absorb.
is gonna be where I am both giving a presentation that I'm working on, a very brief presentation on what I believe can be done with this. As far as, for me, it spans the entire stretch of providing a place for affordable, mostly family-friendly entertainment in the streets. And artists a place to express themselves, all the way to, once this is a successful program, this is going to, and there's a cultural shift around it. This is going to drive tourism and economy. We've all been to Dickens of a Christmas. This is not gonna be on that scale. I don't have bank sponsors like that. I don't have newspaper sponsors
Yeah.
like that. Thank you. It's not gonna be on that scale to start with. However, all the storefronts stay open instead of until 5 or 6, until 11, because they know it's worth it for the 3 Fridays of Dickens of a Christmas. There will be more entry-level jobs, there will be more sales taxes, everything that could benefit, there'll be more parking tickets written. So everything that could benefit the city and the community will benefit somebody.
You're staying there a little bit longer. Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah,
do the thing.
yeah.
I do have a question. So, I know that you and I have talked at some points about like spots in the city that's not the downtown square market square space itself.
Mhm.
Where people could set up, but I know that Polly was kind of touching on the different, oh no,
Well, I wanna finish
Okay.
answering Paul's question. I'm sorry, is Polly there?
It is.
Okay, I haven't been to one of these before, I don't know everybody answering. I wanna finish answering your question before we move on to the next one. On April 19th at 6 o'clock, there's gonna be a presentation where I display what I think can happen and how I think it can be achieved, and then invite people to participate and change the course of that conversation as we work together. Because doing this full time and doing a magic show, where if you know how the show is going, you're not sticking around, I need to tour frequently. While I work on new material, introducing new material, I need to take it to a city where it hasn't been. My problem as a single person is that when I go to Florida for 2 months in the winter, or I go to Canada or Europe for a month in the summer when it's too hot here, I lose the momentum that I've built every spring and fall where people know that there's something happening there. So by encouraging and coaching local performers to keep that space alive while I'm gone, and being available on Zoom calls or whatever it is to help coach and see, oh, I don't think this, I don't think my character as this banjo player works. I'm like, well, can you change your costume so that you're more colorful and more noticeable, whatever little tiny nuances like that are. So that people are out there and benefiting the most. Am I going to be able to, in the course of maybe an hour conversation on Friday night, teach 50 registered performers, 50 different acts, 50 different styles, their script of their show, start to finish? No, that's insane.
When you say
But-
registered, you mean, license?
No,
It's
no, so there's a registration link on the flyer that,
That just reminded me, some of the questions would be,
sure.
do they have to have a license?
Right,
Is
and so I'm
there-
gonna
is
address all of that, the legalities of it, the protections of it, the resources the Arts Commission is putting forward as far as, technically speaking, your business license to street perform is the First Amendment of the Constitution. That's the answer to that question. However, there is a stipend for a number of the performers registering that is going toward the option to get a business license or something like that. And you will get offered enough gigs performing on the street that while it's not required, I would highly recommend performers get the business license that you're generous enough to provide the stipend for. So that when someone says, your violin playing is beautiful, please come to my wedding, you don't have to go, crap. Now I need to go do paperwork's done already.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the best motivator for that.
Yeah, I know people don't buy CDs anymore, but if they, whatever, or merchandise, if you have, at some point, we hope
Yeah.
that artists will do that part too, and then, this.
Oh, yeah, that'll be something that so Seth Custer is coming to this, and he will be fresh off of his music festival in Maryland that he's doing, coming back to this the very next weekend. And I was just like, so there's this thing called the Busker Bump, where you don't sell your bumper stickers, and you don't sell your like little printed trucker hats or bandanas, whatever you got. But for anyone who's generous enough to donate $20 to my show, you will get a free bandana. And so if people have stickers or small things like that, that's part of the show as an extra experience, that's a really good way to help with things like that. It's gonna be those nuances and a general conversation about the culture and etiquette, so that someone doesn't show up with their amplifier with their guitar and rattle the molars out of the person in the gift shop next to them. So we're talking about general noise ordinances and things like that, so that it's not a nuisance. And then I will, at that point, make myself available to teach people and coach people individually. If it's not a performing art that you want to do yourself and you want to support it, I think you're welcome to come. I've invited some shop owners that have been supportive of me over the years, that have a bookstore or a deli or whatever it is, to come be part of this conversation. There's the police there. The only reason I think, and we talked about this, that there needs to be a registration link for this, is so that I can cap the number of performers that I can respectfully get to in a questions and answers section after the talk. And that I can know in advance if I'm bending the conversation toward music or toward puppetry or toward poetry or whatever kind of street performing you're doing. So that's why there's a registration link. As far as like, as far as like any of you who want to come out and support this in any way possible, as a visual artist that doesn't have an interest in street performing, but has an interest in supporting the artistic community, you're certainly welcome to this. As far as I'm concerned, up until the fire marshal's maximum capacity of the market.
Is it like 250 or something?
Yeah.
It's pretty sure that
probably.
Yeah.
So,
And then please come out the Saturday and Sunday to support the
and
people.
bring your tip money.
Here's
Yeah.
a question, is there a way that, and I know I'm not gonna ask too much, Jefferson, but is there a way
I'll
that?
talk about street theater until I run out of breath.
Well, I wonder if we could make an invitation for Saturday and Sunday that's not this, so that us as performers can share with people to invite out, it's easier.
That is what my Facebook event on my page, Bus Road
Got it.
Note, is.
Okay,
That is that.
Thank you.
I've engaged a conversation. There are discussion groups started on there. Explain to me a street theater experience you have had anywhere in the world at any point in your life that has stuck with you. Someone commented and explained that they were walking through a graveyard on the way to the beach in St. Andrews, Scotland, and there was a bagpipe player out there for tips, and it was a magical moment they will never forget. So if you come out and support and are part of the conversation on Friday night, excellent. I would highly encourage that you come out on Saturday and Sunday, the 20th and 21st. And the only thing you need to do to support this is come out, enjoy, and hit an ATM on the way there, because the city doesn't pay performers to be out there. That's not what street theater is. You are supported by the tips of the audience. So if you laugh and have a good time, that's a $5 bill. If you're there with your family and you're in a small group and you wanna, for the family of 4, family of 5, you throw in a 10, I think that's a bargain. If you were motivated and changed to your core, inspired by this show, it's a $20 bill. If you hated the show, that's a $20 bill. Why should you both be disappointed?
Okay.
make me better.
All right, so we'll see everybody then. Thanks for being here tonight. I know.